There's so much that you get out of that race. For me at the time, it was seeing where the limit is. It's finding how far you can go, how much you can tolerate to get to your goal. So for me, it was a deeper understanding of my own abilities and self-belief. One of the things that you try and promote is people doing things. And so often we are part of our own barriers because we don't believe we can do it. We forget about taking the small steps. It's amazing what we can do if we put our minds to it and if we want it enough.
Hello, intrepid listeners, and welcome to the Carpe Diem Live Your Dream podcast. Today's episode has a whole lot of endurance cycling adventure in it. There's the race across America, TransAm, a record-breaking 15,000 kilometer cycle around the perimeter of Australia, plus a bonus segment on a really cool Ironman distance triathlon in Norway called the Norseman Extreme. And what makes this episode especially unique are my guests, the husband and wife duo of Brian and Stacey Welsh, as they describe their lives together in the world of ultra-endurance athletics. Enjoy the show. Brian and Stacey Welsh, welcome to the podcast. How are the two of you?
We're really good, thank you.
What I really like about the two of you, and I'm excited for this conversation, is you two do so many different events, such a variety. So let's dive in. Can you each give just a little bit of background to our listeners? And maybe Stacey, you can go first.
Okay. I'm proudly born and raised in South Africa. And one of the things that I love about there is my time there is that sport's been a big part of my life. I've turned my hand to whatever sport is being around at the time. And it's really given me an insight into the importance of being active. So I'm really motivated to use the experience that I've got to promote being active and in particular get get us more active from a younger age.
I totally agree. Sounds good. Brian, what's your background?
My background is logistics for people like PepsiCo and all types of big firms. But when I was early 40s, I decided I wanted to work with people I wanted to work with and have the choice of that. I'd always been involved in sport in some way, so I decided to start coaching. Just before then, I did my first Ironman, not knowing what an Ironman was. I did that, and then I decided I'd like to coach. So that's where I went.
Are you saying you really got athletic in your 40s?
No, I always did sport in school, and then through my 20s, I played basketball, and then I started running again, and I was a decent runner. But then I started getting injured, which was one of the reasons why I wanted to find out about coaching because I hate being injured.
Yeah, who loves it? Okay, so if I'm understanding this right, you're both lifelong active people. I've seen a partial list of some of the events the two of you have done, a lot individually, a lot together, which I think is really cool as a couple, some of the things you've done over the years. But Stacey, why don't you talk about the Norseman Extreme? Because I think that race sounds really cool, but I don't know much about it.
It's a beautiful race. I like it because it's one that's close to nature because you're surrounded by the Nordic mountains. The scenery is absolutely stunning. It's an Ironman distance race, 3.8k swim, 180k bike, and a 42.2 kilometer run. It's classified as an extreme Ironman or long distance event because Ironman is the name of a particular provider.
It's a brand,
It's the
yeah, right.
brand name, yes. And it's an extreme one. And what makes it unique, even more unique, is that you provide your own support. And that's people, cars, nutrition, and it's in Norway. And it's not just in Norway, it's in the mountains of Norway. So it's quite extreme, quite remote. You start your swim jumping off a ferry. And if you Google Norseman, it's one of the iconic sections of the race. You're jumping into this water in the dark off a ferry. Your crew set up your transition. They will clear up your transition for you, pack everything up into the cart. That's another important point. It's a point to point race, so you finish in a different place to where you started,
Right, right. Okay.
which can make logistics a little bit interesting.
You married the right guy.
I did indeed. And then, according to a range of rules, your crew can support you when and how you've agreed. They'll give you what nutrition you want. Instead of in a normal Ironman or challenge series, you've got volunteers handing stuff off to you. Here, it's your people, your stuff. And once you've done the very, very hilly bike, I mean, seriously, hilly bike, then you're off onto the very famous run, and it's 10K flat. And after that, baby, you're going up.
Okay.
You're going up. There's a few cut-offs. Some of them are time bound, some of them are position bound, and on the last one, I think it's the last control point, they'll make a choice of whether you finish flat, they call it flat, and you turn left, or whether you fit enough to go up into the mountain and finish at the top of the mountain. If you finish at the top, you get a black t-shirt. If you finish flat, you get a white t-shirt. But either way, you finish.
Is the black colored shirt worth the extra climb?
Oh
Absolutely.
yes, no question. My first two t-shirts were black, and then I got a white, and I was so disheartened with it. I gave it to my mum. I couldn't wear it, and the lady that was supporting me said, "You should be so proud you finished." And I just looked at her, and please remember, this is post-race emotions, yeah, which tend to run a little bit high. And I just said to her, I was always going to finish. I didn't come here to finish white. And that, to some people, will think, oh, that's so rude. And it was just a reflection of my disappointment because I'd gone there wanting
Yeah.
black. And to be black,
So
it's
you went
not
back.
time based. You had to be in the first 150. And I was, I think, 150, I don't know, 51, 2 or 3.
Oh, that cut is not time based. It's
No.
No,
right.
it's
Oh, so you're literally, unlike
it's
most Ironmen, you're really not racing against just
yeah,
yourself. You're racing against others. Oh,
exactly. And interestingly, the cutoff is not at the finish line. The cutoff is at that last control. They will look at
right.
your health. So if you're slurring and you're in the first 150, you're not going up. Or you've got to sit there until you're healthy enough to go up. Because you're going up and it's cold up there and it's rugged. It's not, and you're rambling over rocks. It's an extreme finish.
Describe to me or someone who's done a typical Ironman how much harder or in what ways it's harder.
So the first one is if you like the crowds to motivate you, this is not your race.
No.
Right.
It's quite
No one's there.
no it's legs. But if you want a race that has got a lot of climbing, is a challenge, is iconic, and you want to be in the mountains, this race is for you. It's absolutely beautiful, and I would say it's worth training that bit longer and making it a can-do race than going, no, it's not for me, I can never do it. Have a look at Google the videos. They are very difficult to not be inspired by.
Well, I might come back to the Norseman in a few minutes because I'm really intrigued by that event. But the initial reason I reached out to the two of you is RAAM, the Race Across America. And so I did in 1991. It's a long time ago, but I rode coast to coast on my own across the US, 45 days, 3,600 miles. So my average was somewhere in the upper 80s miles per day. I was aware of the RAM and I was just fascinated by it. And I was like, those guys are crazy, basically doing this in 9, 10, 12 days. I think, Brian, you've done it what, 5 times in different
I
formats?
think it's five or six. I was trying to add up the other day.
Tell us a little bit about how you got into it, why. Tell us about the race itself, the event itself, and the different formats you've done it in.
How I got into it was after I did my first Ironman and started coaching, two of the people I was coaching invited me to go and race around Australia to try and break the world record with them
On bicycle.
on a bicycle. It's 15,000 K.
15,000.
Yeah.
You know, people think of Australia as a pretty small island, but it's
No, it
actually quite
isn't.
huge, isn't it?
So we went round most of the edge, and it was an 8-man relay team. And we did it in just over 18 days, which took 20 hours off the world record.
8-person relay. So in that event, you would say bike for half hour, and then seven other people would bike, and then you
We,
would bike half hour, something like that.
yeah, it wasn't quite that simple because we'd bike for an hour and then we'd get cleaned up, then we'd drive, then we'd make dinner, then we'd navigate. So, whilst it sounds easier, in RAAM teams, you have a crew that does everything for you. When we were doing this, we were our crew.
Right. Okay. So all the duties were split between the 8 of you,
Yeah.
including
So we
logistics.
had two vans, and one van would go on 12 hours, which is probably about 500K, and the other van would be following the rider, and the riders would go on for 12 hours on and off, on and off, on and off, and then we change over. So it was the hardest thing I'd ever done at the time. It really was.
That sounds so cool.
It is cool.
I want someone to invite me to do something like that.
So I'd never really biked. I was a runner and I'd never really done that much biking. So I was sort of the novice of the team. People were talking about RAAM or this and that. And we finished it. I came back and I started to have a little look at what RAAM was. And a British team had done it the year before. So I spoke to them and thought, oh, that sounds interesting. All I need is another three people to. In the end, we got a mixed team together after going to the pub one night. And we did it. Well, it's funny. We didn't know anything about building a crew. We didn't know anything about the race itself. And we weren't great cyclists. However, it's still the fastest time we've ever done because we were so enthusiastic, even though I've done it with much better cyclists since then. It's interesting how enthusiasm gets you through.
Heck, after doing 15,000 kilometers around Australia, the continental United States seems pretty short and easy.
Um, yes, except you are really at pace, you know? Um,
Uh, What does that mean? What does that mean? What does at pace in RAM mean?
like 19 miles an hour for 3,000 miles,
Yeah,
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 between us.
yeah.
And none of us were great athletes. And Australia is fairly flat. So in Australia, we averaged 21 miles an hour, but we had some
Okay.
really, really good athletes,
Uh-huh.
yeah? And it was flat. And there was 8 of us, so you got more time off, even though you were
Yeah.
doing other things. Whereas in this, you were a pair of you were on for 8 hours, and then a pair of you were off for 8 hours, and it was all the time. But the vehicles were moving while you were trying to sleep. It was
Yeah.
fascinating.
And what does that take then? At that pace, RAM is what, about 10 days, 11 days,
No,
something
we
like
did
that?
6 days, 22 hours.
Excuse me?
We did 6 days, 22 hours.
Okay, so this was with a relay of 4 people?
Yeah, 4 people.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking the kind of the top solo times.
Yeah. So that was fascinating and really, really good. And then I got invited to do it again 2 years later.
So that was another relay of 4, was it, the second time?
Yeah, a mixed relay. Yeah.
And then you clearly were addicted at that point.
Well, what happened was Stacey and I, by this time, were starting to see each other, and I was coaching her. And she said, "Well, you've done that. I could do it with a team of 4 girls." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll
Huh.
help, I'll coach, I'll do all this." And then as it went along, each lady dropped out. So Stacey was
No.
left sort of by herself. And I said, "Oh, I'll do it with you." And she went, "Oh, can we get another 2 people?" I went, "No, I've done it twice as a four. Why don't we do it as a pair?"
Oh, that's awesome. So, Stacy, first of all, tell us why you wanted to do the RAM, and then can you just describe your thinking as, I mean, that's a pretty big change up from a four-woman team to suddenly you and your husband. Can you just explain your thought process and emotions as you went through that evolution? Because that's a big change up.
It's absolutely massive. And at first, I didn't believe him. I was like, how can you train for a 4 and switch to a 2? That's double the distance. Inside, I was going, you're off your head. But I think the fact that somebody says you can, the fact that somebody says, I'll help you do it, and if you
Yeah.
want it bad enough, you can achieve the most amazing things. He said to me, right, if you're doing this as a pair, this was a little bit into training. He said, right, this is what I'm going to need from you: 500 miles in a week and roughly 20 hours during your peak. And I was like, okay, not impossible, can be done. So the first thing is, can it be done? And the answer was yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of riding.
It's a lot of riding. It wasn't like that all the time. That was just the peak. And the difference in mentality, and this is still one of our iconic stories. On the last day, we still had a heavy chunk to do. We made it to within, I think it was 12 miles
Yeah.
of the 500 targets. So Brian went, close enough. Time for fish and chips, because we lived near a fish and chip shop. He says, we're going in. I was like, no, you set me a target of 500 miles. I'm doing 500 miles. And he's like, look, I'm done. It's close enough. And I was like, no, target is a target. It's not negotiable. So what he did was he went to the fish and chip shop and got fish and chips. I got on the turbo and I finished that 12 miles because I wanted it that badly.
Nice. That's a great coach-client relationship when you kind of take turns being the tough one. Coach sometimes is the one cracking down, and sometimes you crack down on yourself, right?
Very much. One can't do it without the other.
So you've each done the RAM and Brian in different formats, and you're gonna have to tell us in a minute about the solo because you did it solo once, right? Or
Yeah.
twice?
I've done it. I've attempted it 3 times, and once I got there within an hour of the finishing time, and that was so hard, so hard.
So there's a time cutoff, and so
Yeah,
this is what, roughly 3,000 miles. You did it solo. What
yeah.
does that take? Because I've seen videos and heard stories about people, falling asleep on their bike and crashing. I've heard their neck muscles and nerves give out, and they bungee cord their head up
Yeah.
by putting bungee cords on their helmet to the back of their seat, and just ridiculous. Like that's what it's like.
Yes, people do fall off as they fall asleep. One of my best friend, Sue Pillinger, she's the only British woman ever to have done it and completed it. But the first year she did it, she fell asleep and broke her collarbone. It's like you get hallucinations. For some reason, in one of mine, I had Humpty Dumpty following me. I have no idea why, and I knew it was an hallucination, but I could not get rid of it.
What are you doing on that race? You're doing 300 plus miles a day?
I looked at 250 to 280 a day, depending on flat, hilly, whatever. You're trying to be on the bike for 20 hours a day. There are certain people
Yeah.
who only have like 4 hours off in the whole race. But then again, he did 7 days, 12 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. It's a great, great race, but you know you're going to suffer.
Well, yeah, just the rear end, when I did that coast to coast, anytime I did more than 2 or 3 centuries back to back, 100 miles a day for 2 or 3 days in a row, I would start getting saddle sores. And I can't imagine doing 200, 250 a day, day after day after day. That would just
I
really wreak havoc.
I did TransAm, which is roughly what you did, 6,300 k, so 5,000 miles, and that took 23 days, and that was 274k a day on average, and it was like amazing because you're providing your own food. You having to go in and get, because that's unsupported.
Yeah, you're self-supported there. You don't have, can you have a sag wagon, a car trailing
No,
you?
nothing. No.
So you packed. You have packs.
Yeah, it doesn't make RAM look easy, but it's different. I think doing unsupported, where you bump into people that you know and you talk to, really helps. If you Doing RAAM, you are on that bike, and even though you have a crew who talk to you and are really wonderful, you spend an awful lot of hours in your own head. Almost when you're doing it unsupported, you don't, because you're not being told where to go, you're not doing this. You've got to think at the same time. So I think it probably makes it easier because when you're just in your own head, you can think of everything that can go wrong, or you think about the pain, or you think about this. Whereas unsupported, you just have to get on with it.
Yeah, very different races. Let me ask you both what you personally got out of doing the RAM, because you are setting yourself up for a lot of pain and suffering. It's not an easy event, and yet you both talk so highly of the experience. Tell me what you personally got out of it. Stacy?
You know, there's so much that you get out of that race. For me at the time, it was seeing where the limit is. It's finding how far you can go, how much you can tolerate to get to your goal. So for me, it was a deeper understanding of my own abilities and self-belief. One of the things that you try and promote is people doing things. And so often we are part of our own barriers because we don't believe we can do it. And we forget about taking the small steps. It's amazing what we can do if we put our minds to it and if we want it enough.
Yeah, that point you said about self-belief is it's a theme I hear from a lot of people who've accomplished a race like your RAM. It's a quality that you can't buy. You have to experience,
And nobody can take it from you.
and nobody can take it from you. Yeah, it's such a valuable life gift to have. Brian, what about you? What did you personally gain? Pick the RAM or pick any of, the race around Australia or TransAm. All of these are similar in the pain and suffering. What do you get out of it personally?
So racing around Australia was a huge learning experience for me. As I said, I wasn't really a cyclist. Certainly, racing around Australia made me the best friends I've ever had. Two of them were twin brothers, and when Stacey and I got married, we got married first of all in South Africa, and one of the twin brothers was my best man. And then we got married again in England, and the other twin brother was my best man. That's how close you get with these people. For Ram, it was the challenging of doing something that I'd never done before. And I organised most of it, which is what I loved when we first did a four-person team. When I did it with Stacey, it was just doing it with Stacey and being able to challenge ourselves. And then solo is just seeing how much I can suffer. I have a friend who says I'm not a great cyclist, but I'm really good at suffering.
They're the ones that will make it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think that's where you go sometimes. You have to go and see what you're made of. And certainly when we did it as a pair, I really saw what Stacey was made of because she didn't have the distance really in her legs, but God, she had the heart.
Mm. Yep, that carries you a long ways. Brian and Stacy, there's another theme I touched on early that I want to come back to, and that is this life together that you have as a married couple, really engaged in the world of endurance athletics, doing events together like RAM and others. Your lives circle around this. And as a married couple, there's got to be some really unique aspects to that. Can you just describe from your perspective what that's like?
For me, it's amazing when we're training together and both fit and flying along. It's beautiful to be out in the country, whether we're running um, or biking. I love it when it's like that and we support each other. But when one of us is injured, it's horrible because you're going out by yourself a lot of the time. Or if I'm training for an event that Stacey's not doing, I do miss the company. So it is a double edged sword, to be quite honest. But I'd much rather be training with Stacey than training by myself.
Nice. Stacy, can you say the same thing?
Most of the time, yes. I do agree very strongly with Brian. When it's good, it's really, really good. When it's bad, it's horrid. The horrid moments, if we go in reverse order, are when, as Brian's saying, one of you's injured or not able to do, and the other one can do. But when it's good, it's amazing. You're speaking the same language. In today's world, you've got so much demand on your time, and there's so little free time that if you're not doing it together, it's another thing that separates you, and you're doing things in your own time, which makes your time together even smaller. So it's a way for you to connect. It keeps your community together. So your friends are very similar, your language is similar, and it gives you the opportunity to go and travel together. It's not that one of you wants to do a sporting event and the other one wants a beach.
So the two of you have a coaching business, an endurance coaching business called Just Sweat No Tears, which I love that sound. I'm sure there's some tears involved, but give a quick snapshot. Just explain that coaching business and the philosophy behind it.
So my philosophy was, because I'd been injured as a runner, that I would coach people to be the best athletes they could be in the amount of time they had. Because not everybody can do 10 hours a week, or some people can only do 2, 3 hours a week. But that doesn't mean it's not worth training. When I started, I'd never swum or biked when I wanted to do my first Ironman. But I only had 6 hours a week, so I had to find a way to do it. And that's what I did. I had 13 weeks. I gave those 6 hours a week to my training. And we've done that with all my athletes. But what we've tried to do is make sure they do not get injured.
I hear a lot of people say things like, "Oh, I'd love to run a marathon," or "I'd love to do an Ironman," or "I'd love to fill in the blank, but I could never do that. I'm too old," or "I used to be an athlete, but I'm just not fit now." Or what do you think of that kind of situation? How do you respond to that kind of person?
I think if people want to do something, they have to put some time aside for it. But I actually believe I can take anybody from being a couch potato, as we were saying before, to Ironman in a year. They won't win it, but they will finish it.
Hey, Brian, with the coaching business, so we've talked a lot here about some really extreme events like RAAM and cycling around Australia, TransAm and Norseman Extreme, things like that. And those goals can serve as a great motivator for some people, but it probably shuts a lot of people down as being just too extreme, too all-consuming. And why would I want to do something so punishing to my body? So in your coaching business, what's your advice for people who want to get into something athletic, healthy, kind of maybe cool and unique, but without committing so much time and energy?
For me, it's all about consistency. If you play table tennis or badminton or whatever, if you do it every week or a couple of times a week, your fitness will grow, your mentality will grow. It's when you do it today and don't bother for a month is where that suffers. So I always say to people, you just need to be consistent. It doesn't matter if it's only 10 minutes. You do 10 minutes
Mm,
a day, every day. That's 70 minutes exercise you're doing now that you didn't do.
yeah, it's the habit forming that is important, right? Well, it's time for our last question that I ask all of my guests, and you can answer this individually. But what is your next big goal or adventure that you're going after, Brian?
Well, we're both doing London to Edinburgh, back to London. It's 1500k, so 950 miles. But also for me, there's a couple of things I want to do. Next year, I'm doing Race Round Corsica, and probably because I get really old the year after, I'll try and qualify for Kona to do the Ironman then,
Oh, and what age group would that be in, Brian?
70 plus.
Oh, way to go.
And I suppose the final one, my friends who I said about were my best men, they would like to do RAAM as a over 70s team and break the record. So that might be one for 2 years' time.
Oh, very cool. Oh, we're gonna have to keep in touch.
Yeah,
I want to hear about all of those. Stacy?
I've got a little bit more of a conservative approach because I'm coming back to fitness, and I'm going to take my own advice and do this step by step. So the first one is to return to endurance. Well, I guess I returned last year with RAAM, but this is return to longer distance with London, Edinburgh, London with Brian, which will be a confidence boost. Come back to Ironman next year with Ironman Austria.
Oh, that's such a lovely course.
Yes. Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
I might see you there because I have this itch to do it again.
Well, come on down. So it's going to be,
Yeah.
next year. Yeah, I'm going to take this recovery step by step and get those two under my belt and then start ramping up again.
That's funny that you say you're going to take a more conservative approach, because London to Edinburgh and Ironman Austria, those aren't exactly conservative by any stretch. Well, I love the combination of the events that you two have done individually and together. What a great combination as a couple. The Just Sweat No Tears, that's www.jsnt.co.uk.
Yeah.
I think that sounds like a neat philosophy that you run for that coaching business, Brian.
Thank you.
I appreciate the time together and look forward to hearing about the results of your next 2025, 2026 ambitions. Thank you both.
And it would be lovely to see you in Austria.
Yeah. You have a good day now. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye now.
Thanks for listening to the Carpe Diem Live Your Dream podcast. If you like the show, there's nothing more valuable to me than you following it and sharing it with others. I drop a new episode every Friday, so tune in again for another great adventure story. And check out the accompanying website, www.gocarpediemnow.com, and then go seize the day and live your dream.